Okay, now, what is Eric's number one rule? Anybody know? What's my number one rule? No drama. Now, there is an exception to that rule, and that is drama is okay if it's in your paintings. Now, one of the things that I just want to tell you about is we're here to teach you about art and to teach you about painting. Today, we're going to teach you how to put emotion in your paintings. And why is that important? Because I have this painting that my sister-in-law has, and people walk in. It's right by the doorway. When they walk in and they go, "Oh, I remember that place. That's where I played as a kid." And they, they have an emotional response to it. They all picked the wrong place, but it's okay because they're relating to it. I had a woman walk up to one of my paintings in a show one time, and she burst into tears. And I said, "Ma'am, what's wrong?" And she said, "Oh, that reminds me of when I used to go kayaking with my dad on the river. That's the exact place." And she bought it. And then somebody else had the same similar response to it. So, emotion in your paintings is really great. And we have a very good specialist for you today, and that is Terrilynn Dubreuil. Terrilynn is a fabulous painter, and she's going to tell you how to get emotion into your painting. Terrilynn, you ready?
I am. Thank you, Eric.
All right. Well, let's do this.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I agree. I don't like drama. Drama is not good. But in our paintings, part of the reason I believe that we create art is to express a feeling that we have in a certain time, in a certain place, as Eric was mentioning. Today, I'm going to be sharing the image that I'll be using, and I'll just hope, well, I'm not on my camera yet, that talks to me. And I use the same image in a number of studies because I'm familiar with that image, and I can use it to experiment and play around with different emotions and feelings that my paintings can bring out. For instance, I was just at a great artist conference out west, and my painting elicited a lot of response from people. I didn't think it was a painting of my mother with her cat, and it was shortly before both of them passed. And I created marks and the colors and the feeling that I was doing it for me. But it's amazing how many people this painting spoke to. During the conference, I must have had 30, 35 people come up to me in tears saying how much that painting touched them. So we can see if we emit and share our emotions in our paintings, then it can become more exciting and touch other people. And isn't that, for me, that's kind of what it's about, rather than just creating pretty pictures. Yeah.
And I think that one of the things that people may or may not understand is that sometimes you're being emotional, but it's not coming across in your painting. And there are some very specific tools or tips that you're going to be able to offer today that's actually going to help us understand how to get that emotion into your painting. And you're going to actually show us how, right?
I am. I'm going to show you my way, and I hope that works. Do I switch my camera around now?
Yeah, you switch your camera. I'll do the opening.
It's Art School Live with Eric Rose.
Right. Today we have an incredible guest. Terrilynn Dubreuil is with us, and we are going to be talking about drama and emotion and getting emotion in our paintings. And Terrylynn's going to show you how, and here she is. Go for it, Terrilynn.
Okay, I am back. This is a picture of this, a sketch of my little tree. This
okay,
tree
can we bring your camera up just a touch because we're seeing, there we go. Good.
I can't see the correct image. Let me go back. So, oh, there it is. Now I can see what I'm doing. Yay.
Okay, yay.
Thank you. So this tree is on the beach in Maine, and over the years, I go and visit it almost every time in Maine. It has, the middle of it is just torn out of it, and it expresses to me the survival aspect of this tree. So it's one I use many times in my demos and in my workshops so that I can build on this to express color and different marks in soft pastels. because I'm familiar with the image, I can play around with those other things, those aspects that I'm curious about.
So what you're going to
I'm
be doing today is
Mhm.
you're doing it in pastel, but these lessons can apply to anybody painting in any medium.
Definitely, definitely. I also paint oil and watercolor, so my concepts do translate into almost anything that you want to paint. I
All
do
right.
the photo and the sketch in black and white because that way I can play around and invent color in my paintings.
Okay.
So my first one that I want to start with is going to be a painting of joy and sunshine. So I will start with brilliant colors. I have some wonderful pan pastels here. The reason I use pan pastels is I can lay in color quickly and get things going. I know I'm starting on a light paper here, so I'll bring it around. I am also considering the placement of my tree, as you saw in the photo. So I'm keeping the sky loose and free and hopefully exciting. I try to stay excited. I also, when I'm painting, try to remove a bit of my conscious self from what I'm doing. I like to have that creative spirit kind of flow through me. So now to lay out my sketch. So I had the quick little sketch, and as I said, I'm familiar. I'm starting here with vine charcoal, and I'm going to lay in the basic attitude of this tree. This one's a little big. I'm going to grab a smaller piece. There it is. This is the trunk of the tree. I'm laying it in. Now this tree gets bombarded from the outside. The ocean out is this way. And between hurricanes and winter storms in Maine, all these branches are pushed in this direction because of the energy of the ocean and the wind and the waves that get kicked up. This branch here is turned up because of all that influence. And these branches, as they're heavier, they go down and they're weighted down by their own weight.
Now
So this,
you're
yeah,
using, are you using charcoal?
this is vine charcoal.
Okay. All right.
I mentioned that, but yeah, the vine charcoal is nice because if you need to make any quick corrections, see here, I can quickly blend it, move things around. It's easier, and it does very well with soft pastels.
Okay.
So this gets me going in my feeling. I want some dark, I want the energy to be swirling around. I want to keep the viewer's eye on my work. So the tree's going to come up here. I'm going to work some clouds in this way. And in the distant, I have a shoreline here. And you always want to keep your shorelines absolutely horizontal because water finds its own level.
Even if you don't see horizontal, make them horizontal anyway.
Yes, good point, Eric. Thank
That's
you.
something 𝗂𝗵𝗃𝗀 taught me, because if I'd see something that was kind of tilted, it looked wonky on the painting.
Yes, yep. And it feels wonky unless you really want to push it quite a bit. But generally speaking, you want to keep it fairly, you want to keep it totally horizontal, definitely. Otherwise, I always feel, I look at somebody's painting where it's not horizontal and I just start feeling a little dizzy. Does that ever happen? I mean, we want emotions, but I don't think dizzy is one of them. This is a nice dark green. I'm just laying in some of my shadows for the tree area. And since I'm trying to keep this painting lively and soft and exciting, I may blend some. I don't blend a lot with my pastels, but every now and then I will do some. I also like with, yes.
Oh, I was just going to say one thing, a really good tip for everybody is that when you're painting a tree against a light sky, that tree is a silhouette, at least initially. I mean, you're going to put color on it, but you
Yes.
initially put it in as a silhouette like she's done here.
Yeah. So thank you, definitely. So I'm thinking through, you always want to step back, look at your painting at different times that you're painting, I'm going to use, I've kind of pre-chosen my colors. Sometimes I don't pre-choose my colors. Sometimes I go totally intuitive and pick up as I go along. But often it's nice to have a general idea where you're going with your colors. I want to keep this warm. I want to keep this light. As you see here, I'm kind of vignetting the painting to help keep that eye flowing around. I'm just going to throw a little bit down here. I mean, I was academically trained. So, you know, I've got my bachelor degree in fine arts and some courses in the master level. So learning how to control the eye is quite important. Of course, for a lot of you as you're watching, talking and painting and being aware of what's going on at the same time is kind of tricky when you're doing a demo online, but it's fun. Yeah, it's fun.
If
So
you're
the
just
next
tuning in, our guest is Terrilynn Dubreuil, and we're learning about creating drama or emotion.
and emotions. Well, they kind of work with each other, don't they?
Yeah.
So here again, I am trying to bring out a light, happy, joyous scene. I'm at the beach. It's beautiful. See, I talk as I'm considering. I'm going to blend this in a little bit in that background. And I am not doing a completed painting here. I am trying to illustrate a point. I teach a lot. I have a lot of teaching videos on my YouTube channel. I do a lot of live workshops. I teach online. It's fun. And I love talking to people from all over the world and seeing them grow and ask me questions. Questions are great. So if anybody wants to ask questions. So here I'm adding, just as you notice, I'm laying down the pastel on its side, and that gives a nice soft look. I also tend to keep my pinky finger for my lightest colors. So if I do blend, you'll notice that these guys tend to get dark, but this one tends to stay light, because you don't want to take a finger that has some dark color on it and touch up in your sky. You're going to totally mess that up.
Yep.
So what's my emotion here? I'm going to throw in some bright highlights.
There's a question about how you applied your pan pastel originally. It looked like you were using a sponge.
Yes, pan pastel has great tools. This is called a soft tool, and it comes, you can get it, you know, wherever you buy pan pastels. You can see mine is well used, and I've used it on pastel sanded paper, so it's kind of taken apart. But this large one gets color on quickly and excitingly, and you can move on to the more detailed aspects of your drawing.
For the people who tuned in late, of which there are a lot, would you hold up your pan pastels again real quickly?
Yeah, this is, I have 3 different palettes of pan pastels. They come in these little these are absolute pure pastels, as any other pastel stick. They just put them in these little tubs, kind of, and you can buy a plastic palette that holds them together. So you can grab them quickly, and you have colors very quickly at your fingers. It's pretty exciting. And I use it a lot for my underpaintings, a lot. They also, you can move them around with alcohol or water. So many things you can do with them. So the next thing I'm doing is going to start defining this. I have my darks in. I have a good feeling about how my composition is working. You notice my horizon line is at the 3rd. This is up at the 3rd. So I've kind of divided this unconsciously into thirds. When you get painting for years and years, there's a lot of things we do that become second nature almost. So when I'm teaching, I try to think, what is the student thinking as I paint along? And what do they know and not know? So here I am taking the edge of my pastel, laying it down flat here along near the horizon line. But if you notice, I'm leaving a little streak in between. And that is how, like, there's always that edge of the water going through. Now I think about, let's pull out the tree a little more. I'm going to blend these colors. A lot of times pastel, I wanted to put in my background, my general underpainting, but now I can start building up. So with pastels, we often start from dark to light or medium and dark to light. So now I'm coming in with a blue-green, because I've decided my color scheme is kind of that golden yellow with teal colors.
There's a
But
question.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. The question from the audience from Jay is,
Hey, Jay.
what would you take out as a plein air kit? Pastels are a bit of a challenge to carry in volume.
Yes, they are. I have a small box that I've created a small plein air kit with, and my smaller box with well-chosen pastels, a variety of values, light, medium, and dark, and a variety of colors. And they're in a smaller box that I have. And I get out there and everything fits into my backpack.
That's the key.
So yeah, you just get that in your backpack. I do carry my easel. I have a portable watercolor easel I actually use. And I can set up within 3 to 5 minutes and be ready to paint out on location. But I don't take my whole kit of pastels with me. There are so many. I just take my plein air group, because a lot of times when we're out doing plein air, we also finish it in the studio, or we're just doing a study. So you're not necessarily out there to do a finished painting. So here I am just taking, again, the side of the pastel. I use the largest tool possible for as long as possible. I started with that big sponge. Now I'm using the side of the pastel, which is large. And as I get down to more and more details as we go along, you'll see that I start to go up on the tip of the pastel.
Now, why are you using that color?
Because I had decided my color scheme was going to be this golden yellow with these teal blues. That's the basis of the color. Right. This one is a lighter in the ultramarine family back here, a cooler blue, because I want that sitting back in the distance.
Yeah, well, that's a motion creator. Okay, I have two questions from the audience. Do you take your pan pastels with you when you go outdoors?
I often have them in the back of my car, because sometimes I'll work out of the back of my car, but I don't, if I'm heading up into the, up to see a waterfall or something, I usually don't take them with me because they do take more space.
Okay. Here's a question from Elizabeth. Question about the surface. Do you prep the surface with anything before starting? And when finished, what do you use to set it? Do you spray workable fixative to store it, or do you spray a permanent fixative? Just curious.
Yeah, everybody has a different approach. This paper I'm working on now is 𝗂𝗏 500, I believe. I'm going to try to do a second little painting as well to show the difference between things. But this one, it was a beige color, so it was easy to keep light. It's a sanded surface. If you haven't done pastel on a sanded, I just discovered that like 7 years ago. I worked for years on a non-sanded surface, and I joined a pastel community, which is great. If you join a society, they help, they have ideas. Everybody's so generous and sharing of their ideas with you. That's a really great thing to do. Yeah, but
another good thing to do is to join Pastel Live coming up.
Well, that's a group, right? That's a society in a sense.
Well, it is not a group. It's an online art training event, but you get to meet hundreds of people, which is cool.
Yeah, and I guess that's what I meant by a group, that sometimes there's societies, but sometimes it's whatever group you can get into, because we all support each other and we encourage each other. And that's exciting. So I'm stepping back, I'm looking. I know eventually as I'm coming along here, I'm going to have a little bit of the nearby shoreline here. This tree happens to have like a snow or sand fence in front of it, and that'll be my finishing detail. I also want to pick out some branches and details of going along this way.
A question from Lynn. which is, can you also use a very soft brush with these?
Yes, I will tell you, as I said, I have worked in oil, watercolor, sculpture, so many different things. But to me, I got so excited with pastel because it's the most versatile medium you can use. You can use it, as you'll see in my second painting, almost like watercolor, and then you can build on it. So by the time you're done, it almost looks like an oil painting. Now back to the last question was to finish, sometimes the sand holds the particles of pastel. Pastel particles are little, like think of mica, you know, little flakes of mica sitting on your surface like this, and they catch the light and they refract the light. And that's what makes it so exciting. When we blend it down, we take those particles and it pushes it a little more flat. So that's why I like using the blended area, the pan pastel area. On my finished, I don't touch it. I try to leave fresh marks because then those particles stand up and they really catch the light, and it's very exciting. So I sometimes will fix, but I only use one fixative that I find does not change the color of the pastel. Some of your pastel fixatives are very heavy and they will change the look of your pastel. And for me, I want to keep that freshness, that excitement about the pastels. All right, I was saying sunny. So let's bring a little more light into the branches, remembering that this branch is heavy and it's kind of hanging down. I'm just glazing. I'm barely touching the paper to get that glaze across the painting. And you see, I'm always working in the direction. Yeah. Little highlights here and there. How are we doing on time?
We're doing great. You got time to do 30 more.
I work so fast. I like working fast because part of that is bringing, I'm not thinking too much. I'm not getting too picky about what I'm painting. I'm allowing my energy and kind of spirit to take over and work in my paintings. This is that close shoreline. I'm going to underlie it with some cooler blue so it sits back further from the tree. I know that there's little bits.
Is there a particular fixative that you use?
Can I mention the name?
You can mention a fixative, yes.
Okay, fixative is 𝘆𝗂𝗂𝗃, Lascaux. And it, as I said, you can spray it lightly and it doesn't change the color. And you never start close with a fixative. You want to step back about your hand about a foot or so, and you start spraying it off to the one side, off to the side, not on your painting. So if there's any heavy droplets on the spray nozzle, they will fall down. And then you'll bring it from one side and just sweep it across. Keep your painting vertical. Again, because if there's any droplets and you lay your painting down flat on a surface, those droplets are going to fall right in the middle of your painting, which you don't want. So stay back. I can't get back here, but spray it this way, turn the painting in the other direction, back and forth, so you very lightly cover it. Of course, pastel does go under glass, and anti-reflective glass is the best thing to use across the room. If you have anti-reflective glass on your painting, it almost looks like an oil painting. Sometimes you can't tell the difference. So let's see, am I getting where I want to go? I want this energy. I want some excitement in this. Whoops, that is my wrong color. That's not the one I wanted. There we go. So now I can pick out some negative space where the light is shining through. I've decided it's kind of a hazy situation. I don't have a bright spotlight of sun, but it's hazy and it's softened. Again, my little pinky finger to blend some of these colors. In my other hand, I always have a rag. Not all pastelists do this, but I do. So if I take this white light pastel and I touch here, look at what my pastel picks up. You see how much color is on that? If I take this now and go into my sky, it's going to mess up my sky. So just a quick little swipe and it cleans that off. It's a great tip.
You're a good teacher.
Thank you, sir. I love teaching. And I love it, you know, online or live. And I love hearing people's comments and questions.
Okay, well, keep them coming, folks. Our guest today is Terrilynn Dubreuil, and she's teaching us how to infuse emotion into your paintings. She's going to do this same painting again, but she's going to do it differently with different emotion. Is that right?
Yes, I am.
How
Exactly.
exciting. It's
Which
nice
is,
to be able to see how to approach something a different way.
yeah, right? Because, and again, that's why I started with my black and white sketch. Sometimes I don't even take photos. I'll do a sketch out on location. Always in my car, I have a sketchbook with me. And I'm constantly doing little thumbnails and keeping ideas. And I make notes off to the side. If I want to show this again, this is a blown up page of my sketchbook, but you can see I've made notes here to remind myself either what I saw, what I was thinking, what I was feeling in this situation. And that way, if I want to recreate that time and that moment, I have something to build off from. It's not just the sketch.
Yeah. We all need to do more sketching.
Definitely. It's vital. All right, I'm going to make this a little more fun now.
Question: how do you organize your pastels? What does your tray look like?
Oh, can I try to show that?
Yeah, if you want to try, they may spill out.
No, I'm not going to hold. I'm going to move my camera if that's okay.
Yeah, okay.
Just take me a second.
All right. Oh,
So there.
Wow, look at that. How yummy.
I love, yeah, pastels are wonderful.
So beautifully
So you
organized.
can see there, yeah, it's kind of by the rainbow, I guess. And I have my light values at the bottom, mid values, and dark values at the top.
Oh,
And there are
cool.
times when I'm doing a painting, like this one, for instance, that if I don't want to touch my dark values, I'll cover them with a cloth. You know, just say to tell myself, don't touch these.
Good idea.
Yeah, little idea. So again, this is not a great, it's not going to be a finished painting, but I do want to give an idea of that fence.
Okay.
Looking for a color. You can see
Looks
me
like a
almost.
hot day.
A what?
Looks like a hot day.
Right? Yeah, it has been recently. I know you guys down in Texas are suffering, right?
I'm in the Adirondacks. It's 60 degrees.
Oh, that's right. I thought you said Texas, but
Oh,
60.
Yeah, 65 maybe.
That's a little cool this morning. All right, so for my fence in the distance, I'm just indicating it. I don't have to spell everything out because if you spell everything out, there's nothing left for the viewer to become involved in my opinion. This is my experience and my opinion, of course. So I try to leave a lot of aspects kind of unfinished so that the viewer's eye and their mind, they have to become involved. And that's, you know, then they have, what do I want to say? They have a part of you. They're part of the experiences with them. This is just an old fence here and it keeps falling down. I'll tell you, last winter, Maine had some horrible storms. And I went down to see my I call it my little tree, but to see if it survived. And it did. I mean, again, his heart's been ripped out many times, but he's still there. He's still stoic. He's growing. He's standing. I love that little tree.
My heart's been ripped out many times too.
Right, we all have, right? It speaks to us. So we want to do something that speaks to us, I think. It's just kind of fun. Little highlights where the light's coming behind the tree. Of course, the bottom part of the fence is going to be in shadow because it's behind the tree. But the tip top, I don't know if you just noticed this. I want to say, if you're new to pastel, this mark, I just tried to put a mark right here. It didn't really work. It's, I don't know, if you do watercolor, you do thin to thicker paint. This is the same way. You want to start thinner and then thicker. And sometimes the way you get thicker is by using a softer pastel. So now I have to go into my kit, my palette, and find a softer pastel to pull across there, just to catch the glint of the sun on that fence. No more questions, people?
People.
I'm going to add a little excitement now. I think this might work. This, I'm going to, that's too bright. Add just a little glaze into the heart of the tree of this magenta. It's just
You know,
gonna...
colors are very emotional. We all have colors that we really respond to. I personally respond beautifully to these colors.
Do you?
I
Excellent.
do.
I love this combination here. Sometimes it's unexpected almost, but I'm using a light teal pastel. I think this, can I say brands? I don't
We
always
prefer not to, because
okay. Yep.
Yeah, YouTube gives us a hard time about that.
Yeah, this is a really, really soft pastel. This one is also soft. It has great pigment in it. And I do make a lot of my pastels. I make them from leftover. I have a little trowel underneath my palette underneath my easel that catches any loose dirt and stuff. And I've been doing that that's my most popular YouTube videos, how to make your own, pastels out of dust. But I've also done it from ground pigment, which takes a little slightly different process. That's an older video. I want to do some new ones. I want to update that one. I have also collected sand along my travels. And you think about it, back in France, like Lascaux caves, where the cavemen were painting, they just picked up ochre and dirt and added some sort of pitch or natural tree sap into the powder that they made. And that's what they painted on those cave walls with. So I thought, why can't I do that? And it's fun sometimes. Let me show you a sand pastel I have. Is that okay, Eric? No brand name here. This is mine. Here's a couple of my sand pastels.
Huh.
I might add in.
You made them with real sand.
Just sand from a beach. Yeah. You need to sift out the heavier particles, and there's a way of doing that. But yeah.
You guys can go to her YouTube channel and see all that stuff. We'll post it. Oh, we did post it already.
Excellent. Thanks. All right. I'm kind of getting picky now. I should stand back and see. I want to have a little light shining through in a couple spots. This, to me, this painting is a sketch. It's a study. It's not, I would not use this as necessarily a finished painting. And with the time that we have today, I know that, I wasn't going to be finishing. But I don't think that's what people are here for, is to watch me finish a beautiful painting. They're here to learn some techniques and some ideas and ways that they can express themselves in their paintings. That's what's important. We share ideas so each of us can take those ideas and do something with it. And I want to say that we can try to do the same exact image, the same exact colors, but because each of us is different, our personalities will come out on our paintings. And to me, that's what's so exciting, that each person, each artist creates something different. Well, that's kind of fun. I think it's kind of light.
Love it.
Thank you. You want to go into a dark day now?
Yeah, let's do it. All right, guys. So what we're doing here is we're teaching how to paint emotion, how to create emotion in a painting. Terrilynn Dubreuil is with us today, and she's doing pastel, but you can do this with anything. Just it's a different technique with oil or for watercolor, but you get the idea. So now today it looks like it's a dark, gloomy day.
It's a dark, gloomy day.
Stormy day.
Let's make it stormy. We're going to have some fun. Now, I did start an underpainting here. And what I started with, and I was prepared in case but I don't know if we have time. I was prepared if you wanted me to show this, but I put on some pan pastel. I have a spray bottle filled with alcohol, and I'm going to do it off to the side here, but I can spray on my painting. I can do dribbles. I can make it run. Can you see how it's running down here? And that's what this did, but I tilted it diagonally to get that. And the reason I'm not doing it live is because it does take a little while, even with the alcohol, for the painting to dry. But you can see there's some very natural marks here that happen from the dribbles. The alcohol will just pick up some of that pastel and drag it down across your painting.
Nice.
It's fun. I play. I mean, why is it, Eric, I want to know this. Why is it that as artists, we're talking, what are you working on? You know, what's your recent work? Why is this work? Why is this not play?
Yeah, what are you playing with these days? I think we should all change our terminology.
I do too.
All right, everybody go into the chat and say, I'm now going to refer to playing instead of working. Go in there now, make a commitment. I like it.
I like it. It's exciting. Okay, I'm going to switch up the colors. I've got
What kind of alcohol do you use? Is it
isopropyl?
Isopropyl, okay.
Yep, I just use isopropyl alcohol. Another thing you can do, I don't want to do this much because it's going to slow me down on the painting aspect a little bit, but you can take a brush, can you see that? Yes. Spray it, or you can go right in and you can paint. See how this is becoming now more like a watercolor, an oil painting.
Cool.
And that will help set that pastel down. But you got to wait for it to dry before you go back into it. Down here, I'm also going to do a spray so you can see some texture. I'm going to kind of cover this aspect, spray down in the corner, down there. And sometimes you see some of these dots that I have here were created earlier by that.
I personally use, instead of isopropyl alcohol, I spray with vodka.
Hey, that's a good point. I have a friend that does that.
One on the paper, one in the mouth. Just
yeah, there you go. Keeps you creative,
right?
I
don't even drink, but it's kind of fun to say.
Oh, good, Eric. Yeah. Oh, is mouthwash? Is that what the thing is?
Mouthwash, yeah, that's it.
Yeah. My concern about using even a very dry alcohol, like vodka or something, is you need to be aware of the residual sugars. Because if there's any residual sugar in your, I used to work in a winery too, so any residual sugar in your alcohol, that can affect the longevity of your painting. Right? You don't want sugar because that can mold.
Oh.
See, you learn something new every day.
Yeah.
It's exciting. All right, storm.
Somebody said storm. I can't drink and paint. Yeah, that's probably a good thing.
Well, to a certain, no, because I mean, you think, oh, it's going to keep me loose. And then before you know it, you're just making a mess.
Just making mistakes.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to throw in some color in the area. Again, now my skyline is up higher. Before it was lower, I brought it up a little higher. There's that distant shoreline over there. Let's put one over here too. And let's bring in some sky. I am going to skim across this because I want some of that underpainting to show through. Can you imagine trying to detail all of these little natural marks and stuff? It's just like, nope, let's let our materials do half the work. I do that in watercolor. Watercolor, it's like play with the paint. Watercolor, you can control it to a point, but it's much more exciting and fascinating if you let it do its own thing and you just kind of play along with it. Okay, we're going to sweep because this is a storm coming across here. Coming in, let's bring up some water. Reflection down here. Now, if you're not used to pastel and you think, oh, I don't know, all those colors, I have to have hundreds and hundreds of colors. I know people that have it. And I'm thinking, you'll never use all those pastels in your whole life, but they have a lot to choose from. But because it's pigment, like any other medium, is basically pigment, just with different binders and different, like watercolor has glycerin and honey, and oil painting, of course, has oil, and acrylic has like a plastic in it. They are still all built on the basic pigment. So you're just playing with pigment. And as in any other medium, like watercolor or oil, you can mix your colors in pastel. You don't
Here's a
have
question from Andreas. And the
Andrea.
question is, as in watercolor, you can use salt to create an effect. Does that work with rubbing alcohol for an effect?
I'm not quite
Well, in other
clear.
words, you can throw salt on watercolor and it creates these little crystallized.
Yes. Yep, I know that. But I'm
But
using
can
like,
you do it with salt and alcohol?
I have not tried salt on my pastels because then you're going to have the salt in the pastels. That's a great idea. Actually, I've never tried that. Now I have something new to
Oh.
experiment with. Thank you, Andreas.
All right.
Nice.
See,
But
we
I'll
get
show
to
you.
play. Good job, Andreas. You got the gold star for today.
Gives me something to do. Now I'm going to have to make a YouTube out of that. Because I share my what I learn. I don't, and I find a lot of pastelists are like this, and many artists, they're not stingy with what they learn. They want to share it, so you can, all of us can experiment and try and make it our own, because it's not
I
going to be
sell
the
art
same.
instruction videos for a living, and yet I do them free every day on online. So
Let's see. All right, we're
Cutting my
looking a
own
little. Oh,
throat.
I got to get some color in my tree, and I'm thinking stormy, so we want to keep it very grays, blue grays maybe. That storm's coming in, the wind's blowing the tree in this direction. Another thing about working quickly is that, I think I said this already, but you don't have time to fiddle, and the emotion comes through a little easier, a little faster if you're just playing around. So if you do a nice quick study like this, then later you can come back and use it as studies for a more finished painting.
Yeah.
You say, oh, I liked how I did that, and I think I can try that again. Here's another, this is a homemade pastel from leftover pigment. This is one of my first ones, so I don't know if you can see, but there's little particles of other colors in there. You have to be careful where you use that, but it's great for something like this. All right, let's see. These grasses are being blown off to the side here. Are we looking stormy yet? Let's get a little color into this tree. Just because it is a painting and we want to have some impact of it. Whoosh. Keep thinking the wind. Oh, and Andreas's question about alcohol. I did use it earlier on this, and I'm getting to the point. I'm checking my time. Yeah. We're going to have a little chance to talk at the end, Eric, or is?
Yeah.
Okay. But I want to leave some time for that, correct?
Okay. All right. How much time? 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour and 20 minutes? What do you need?
Oh, well, we could sit down and have a whole conversation in that amount of time, can't we? No, I'm just saying, I was about to finish. I wanted to do a couple of finishing things, but I don't want to finish too soon, you know, depending on your time.
Yeah, well, I'll build in some time at the end.
Okay.
Yeah, you got
I'm
time.
going to bring some light in behind. I need some variety in the grass here. Oftentimes, here's a vine charcoal. Let me check it. I usually have a piece off to the side that I can check. So I'm going to just use that vine charcoal like it's grass. See how that brings in a texture for the grass? It kind of adds in. All right, let's try some finishing touches. I'm going to step back. Not as totally done as I would like it. But again, oh, and this little tree has tiny little broken branches in its middle. That's why I like it. I mean, the heart of this little guy has been ripped out, but he's still surviving. He's still there. I'm going to throw in a little of our indication. No, I don't think I want that fence too much. All right, alcohol. Let's play. Now, I could totally mess this up because we're experimenting and we're learning and we're just playing around, right? So I'm going to take my spray bottle of alcohol, and this one has a coarse spray. I also have one that has a very fine spray, but this hopefully will work for this. And I test it off to the side first, not too close because I want broken up drops. And I'm going to swish it across as if it's storming. Now we have to wait for that to dry so you can see the effect. So it's coming across here. I'm going to take, this is where I start hoping and praying that this is going to work. My vine charcoal, nope. I'm testing it to see if it's getting there. Let's do some sweeping. That storm is coming in. Across there. And then this is some ground up. I just took some pastel sticks and I scraped it off into this little dish. And then I can take this, pick these up and throw them hard across my painting.
Oh.
I'm going to put it in my hand here.
Okay.
Not getting as much. So I'm doing it in the direction of like, this is snowstorm. Now people go like, oh my gosh, how is that going to stay on there? Well, the nature, if I tap it, see how very little of that comes off. And if you want, you can augment it with just some, you know, snowy dots coming across here. And then before you frame it, and I'm not going to take it off the easel right now, but you can take a piece of glassine paper, which I always use to put over my paintings when I'm storing them, my pastel paintings. Hold it on and just, I'm going to press it in the direction that I want it to go. And that just kind of pushes any of those loose particles into that sanded surface. And we'll hold on to that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Somebody said you could use mica powder. That might be a fun thing to put in there.
Oh, I have a whole little baggie of mica that I found that would be great. It might not hold on as much. You got to think about that. How is the mica going to hold on? But a fine powder would hold on. Great idea. Thank you. Look at these ideas I'm getting today. I'm so excited.
Oh yeah. Yeah. They just keep them coming.
So
right.
here
Well,
we
so
have,
let's show both versions. We did the stormy emotional version and we did the bright and happy version.
So see, by using the same black and white sketch, just starting with this and thinking about your colors and your techniques, this is more blended, it's softer, it's brighter. This one, we really got emotional and threw on paint and textures with the pastel and the alcohol and stuff. I mean,
Okay, so here's the deal.
Stormy. Yeah.
We're going to do a survey now. Go into the chat, and you can't pick both. You have to pick the one that resonates emotionally with you. Are you the storm or the sunny day? Go into the chat and tell us which one you prefer. I just am curious.
I love it. That's a great
I like
idea.
them both.
They're very different, and depending on your day, I mean, you could have, you know what you could do? You could frame it so one is glassed on one side and one on the other, and depending on your mood, you could turn it over. Like if it's a really sad day, you want to put the sunny one up. You don't want to put the stormy one up. You want to put the sunny one up.
You could have a little motorized thing that just changes it up.
Just changes it around. Yeah.
Well,
so,
I don't know. I mean, it's kind of neck and neck, storm and sunny day. I don't know, you guys, the rest of you need to vote. Hurry up. We're going to tabulate here.
Should I get back to my camera on me, Eric?
Yeah, why don't you do that? Okay, storm or sunny day. Our guest today is Terrilynn Dubreuil. Terrilynn, this has been a fabulous demo. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. It's been a joy being here.
I think, I don't know.
Where am I? There I am.
It's kind of 50-50. I'm not so sure we're going to be able to pick a winner. They're both loved.
But does it really matter? Because we all feel so many different emotions, and that's what's important. And you
That's
can
right.
use these approaches to anything, as I said earlier. You can use it on a portrait, on a landscape, on a still life, even. Get emotion out of a still life. How do you do that? Lots of questions.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Terrilynn. We have put all of your information into the chat. If people want to find you, follow you, watch your YouTube show, all of that stuff is in there. Thank you for this fabulous lesson today. You guys, let's all get emotional.
But no,
How do
no
you make
drama.
how do you
Emotion, but
make
no
somebody
drama.
cry?
Thank you so much, Eric. This has been a real pleasure for me, and I appreciate the time.
Thank you for doing it.
Hope to
You're a
work with
rock
you
star.
again, for sure.
All right, we'll do it. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, our guest today is Terrilynn Dubreuil, and what a fabulous demo on emotion, putting emotion. You can see how that works. Now, I want to tell you guys something. When I first started painting, it was a disaster. I had an instructor who told me, give it up. You're never going to be any good. I did give it up. I threw everything in the basement. I stopped painting. I just, was defeated. And essentially what I needed to do is to get some better instruction. If I had to do it all over again, I would start with pastel. And I'm an oil painter. I'm a watercolorist. I'm a gouache painter. I'm a pastel painter. But if I were starting painting from scratch, I would start with pastel. Why? Because you can use your hand-eye coordination. It's kind of like we all did crayons when we were kids, and it's a high quality medium, and you can mix colors by putting things over one another, or you can just pick the color you want, but you don't have to mix paints together to create colors. Now, nothing wrong with that. I love doing it. But in the beginning, I think I would have gotten the sense of progress faster by doing pastel. We have an event coming up in September. It's a 3-day event plus a 4th day for beginners and a refresher day. It's called Pastel Live. It is an online event with 30 of the top pastel instructors in the world. And if you're going to learn, learn from the best. And so that's coming up in September, the 18th through 20th. Just go to pastellive.com/ASL. That way we know where you came from. Okay. And we also have coming up just around the corner in November, we have Realism Live. Realism Live is all things realistic, figures, portraits, landscapes, still life, a lot of things like that. And then we have Watercolor Live coming in January. And we have Acrylic Live coming in March. And then we have Plein Air Live coming back. So anyway, we hope that you will check them out. Thank you. I'm losing my voice. I need to stop talking now. Take care.